Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Good morning.
Jonathan Voitkos here.
Hello, everybody.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day, and here's how our day is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you're watching live. If you're watching live right now, you want to get a question answered in the second part of the show, we do reserve the right not to answer anything we deem inappropriate to be addressed on the show, but just go ahead and use our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tips. Send it on in and we'll address it in the second part of the show. And here's the good news about this tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to our show in podcast form on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day when we're not live, you can still use the tip link anytime you want. Just send on in a question 24 hours a day. And if you don't send it in when we're live, we'll just answer it on the next episode. All right. So we got another dog in the house. Ann gives me a call last night from about a block away, says, there's this dog walking alone in the street and it's limping and blah, blah, blah. So I drove down and we got her and we brought her. She's this big, big dog. And she was very scared, no collar, no anything. So we kept her overnight. And
super sweet.
Super sweet. Like I brought her into the studio this morning. And she
Yeah.
just, like as soon as you came up to her, she just rolled right over.
Yep.
Big dog too. Just
Yep.
rolled right over her back and started whimpering. For you to pet her, beautiful little dog. I hope, we already posted her picture on some of the lost dog sites. So hopefully somebody will identify it and come by and pick her. She's super adorable. We called her Dune. Because last night we had Dune on when we got home, and we thought, let's just call her Dune.
Well, you know what's
now.
kind of funny? I was thinking about that. Is that their eyes turn blue, right, in Dune? And she has one brown eye and one blue,
yeah,
so it's like she's got the spices
eyes.
taking over.
She's got like one Fremen
she's
eye.
a chimera, yeah.
Anyway, guys, we are so glad you are here today, and let's get things started here, and we're going to get things rolling with this. It is weird to think about, but because when I think about the Fantastic Four movie, I still feel like it's forever away. And it's not like it's coming out soon, but it's only in 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Less than one baby away. Less than one pregnancy. If somebody in your relationship got pregnant yesterday, this movie will be here before your baby arrives. That's how soon it is. 8 months, comes out in July. Well, now, according to IGN, we now have an official synopsis for the movie, a kind of a description of what's going along. It's vague, but it gives us a little bit of insight what's going on. This is what IGN wrote about the new Fantastic Four movie. Here's the official Fantastic Four first step synopsis. Set against the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic world, it's important to note that. Everybody's saying the movie takes place in the 1960s. Number one, no, it doesn't, because it's not our world. It's a different world.
Right.
And in that world, it's not even necessarily the 1960s. It's inspired by a 1960s retro-futuristic world. Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four First Steps introduces Marvel's first family. Reed Richards is Mr. Fantastic, played by Pedro Pascal. Sue Storm, a.k.a. Invisible Woman, played by Vanessa Kirby. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, played by Joseph Quinn. And Ben Grimm / The Thing, of course, played by Emmy Award-winning Eben Moss-Backrack. As they face their most daunting challenge yet. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, they must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus, voiced by Ralph Ineson, and his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer, played by Julia Garner. And if Galactus's plan to devour the entire planet and everyone on it weren't bad enough, it suddenly gets very personal. All right. So there's a couple of obvious things in here and then one not so obvious thing. The obvious stuff is, okay, yeah, they set it up. We know it's going to be Galactus. We got that from Comic-Con because they showed a little bit of footage at Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. We already know we've got the one Galactus from the comic books. The female version from the comic books is going to be in this, probably just for one movie, but whatever. 1960s inspired retro-futuristic thing, we knew that. But here's the part that I find interesting. This part right here. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond. That tells me something. I don't think this movie's an origin story.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we have officially gotten word at that. It sounds like that this movie, right from the get-go, it's in this world. It's already established. The Fantastic Four are the heroes of this world. Like, I'm sure we'll get some kind of flashback to see how they became the Fantastic Four, but it sounds like we're not going to spend the first 40 minutes of this movie with this intrepid group of people going, well, let's go to fly to space today. Oh no, there's a cosmic storm coming. It sounds like we're going to bypass all that and maybe just sum it up in a quick thing. And I love that. You know, one of my favorite openings of any comic book movie was? It was the Ed Norton Hulk film. The John Campea Hulk film. Let's call it what it is.
That's true.
Where the beginning of the movie, the opening credits, are just newspaper clippings as the credits are rolling, newspaper clippings, things like showing like, oh, this guy, Dr. Banner, became the Hulk and blah, blah, blah. And then boom, we're right into the movie. I love that. I love that we didn't have to go through the origin story again. We can just jump right into the movie.
Similar to what Edge of Tomorrow did too. I really like the intro of that because it got down to it. It showed all the video clips of the president or whoever talking, and then just all the propaganda and the news articles, like you were saying, of the Ed Norton Hulk. I like when they get to it. If like sometimes like an origin story just drags on, and
yes,
we're all familiar with Fantastic Four, and even if we weren't, it's easier to get there. It's easy to get, I think. Like they're a family, and they got powers, right?
Deal with it.
Deal with it. No, but so I like that. I like this that we're starting in this world. The Fantastic Four are here, and they're their heroes. That means we can spend more screen time with the plot of the film.
Yeah, and we already got conditioning because in Multiverse of Madness, we already saw that there's a Fantastic Four established.
Well, yeah, at least somewhere out there.
No, yeah, but like we don't have to be like, wait, who's that guy? You know?
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that little synopsis, the official synopsis now for Fantastic Four? I mean, a lot of this stuff in there, we pretty much already knew, but that like one little detail in there, I'm like, okay, that I find interesting. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Of course, one of the biggest smash hits of the year, Deadpool and Wolverine. We've gone over it a lot. Made over $1.33 billion at the box office. By far the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Right now, the second highest grossing film of the year, only behind Inside Out 2. And it was beloved. Beloved by, obviously, the box office, but it was beloved by fans and beloved by critics alike. It's a great movie. So much fun. Not for everybody, but no movie is. Now, the first time I watched the film, of course, lots of big pops throughout. But that kind of reveal of the others was one of the big ones, right? Because Jennifer Garner comes walking out. Yay! And then Blade came walking out. The audience went nuts. Then finally, after like 7 years, Channing Tatum as Gambit came out. That got a big pop. But at least in the very first screening I saw, the biggest pop, in the other 5 or 6 screenings, the biggest pop was for Wesley Snipes. But in the first screening I saw, the biggest pop was for the last person to get revealed. X-23, Dafne Keen. That was the one that at least in my first screening, got the most people excited and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to give some spoilers about Deadpool. It made $1.3 billion. You've already seen it if you're interested in it. Now, I assumed in the movie, I think like a lot of people, that Gambit, Blade, Elektra, X-23, they all died in the void. They died there, sacrificing themselves for legacy. So that, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine could escape and go save their world. But then he says to Kevin at the end, you know, we had some friends that we couldn't have done this without. And in the last shot of the movie, right before the credits roll, they're all sitting around in Wade's apartment, and Wolverine's there, and so is Dafne Keen. So is X-23. It was heartwarming. It made everybody smile, right? But that brought up a huge bit of discussion. I bet you she's going to be in Avengers. Bet you they're going to have her now in the MCU. Well, maybe not. Because according to Dafne Keen, And she says she's being straight up honest with her. She goes, there has been zero talk about her joining the MCU. This comes to us from The Wrap, who wrote the following. The headline is, Deadpool and Wolverine star Dafne Keen promises she has not been involved in any conversations about an MCU return. Dafne Keen not only got really good at lying about having a role in Deadpool and Wolverine, but she also really enjoyed doing it. But when it comes to her potential future in the MCU, the actress swears to The Wrap that she's telling the truth when she says she hasn't been part of any conversations. She said this, genuinely, I'm not lying. No, I have not been involved in any conversations, she says. Hopefully there have been conversations, but I have no idea. All right. When Logan came out, first of all, a top 3. Is there anybody out there who disagrees that it's a top? I meant whether you think it's number 1, number 2. No, is there? I don't think there's a lot of people that disagree. It's probably a top 3 greatest comic book movie ever made. To me, it's just that good. At any rate, one of the most beloved characters, of course, is X-23. Dafne Keen was a revelation in that film. Like, she was so wonderful in it. And so when that movie ended, a lot of people speculated and thought, oh, she's going to get her own spin-offs. And then when Disney bought Fox, everyone thought they're definitely going to be an X-23. Nothing ever happened. Now, Dafne Keen has gone on to have actually a pretty active acting career. We won't talk about The Acolyte, but she's done several really good things. And now she's here. And it just stood out to me that at that last scene, Wolverine says to the TVA, hey, there are some people who we couldn't have done this without. Can you go help them out? And yet, at Wade's place later, right before the credits roll, the only one of that group we see is X-23, Laura. Now, maybe they did get all the rest of them out. Just Laura was the only one to go to the party. That's fine. But I thought it was interesting that they specifically highlighted that she was there at the dinner party. They specifically made sure they highlighted that. Which, I mean, if you're looking at that and trying to make 1 and 1 equal 2, you're thinking, oh, that wasn't an accident. They've got future plans for her because everybody loves her. But she's saying, no, listen, I'm being honest. I'm telling you, I'm not lying. There have been no talks about me coming to join the MCU. And I would say this, and no one's going to like me saying this. Everybody thinks Hugh Jackman is still going to come back as Wolverine more. I've been the only person saying I don't think he is. Now, it's possible that he could. I acknowledge that. 100%, it's absolutely possible. But I really believe that was his swan song. I believe Deadpool and Wolverine was his swan song, just like Logan was supposed to be a swan song. But I think he did that, and I think he's done. I think in that one of those last scenes when him and Deadpool are sitting on the bench eating the last remnants of their shawarma, and Deadpool says to him, I'll see you around. And Wolverine looks at him and says, probably not. Mm-hmm. I think that was him talking to the audience. Now, again, I could be wrong about that. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is because it only makes sense to have X-23 come, Dafne Keen's X-23, if Hugh Jackman is also going to be sticking around, right? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have Dafne Keen's X-23 and not have Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. And so I think, again, maybe this is a stretch, but I think her saying, listen, I'm being dead serious with you guys. There have been no conversations about me coming to join the MCU. I think that kind of bolsters my theory that Hugh Jackman is indeed done. I don't think we're going to see him again. Now, of course, again, I'm saying that I acknowledge it's absolutely, this is Kevin Feige. It's possible he could show up in Doomsday. It's possible he could show up in Secret Wars, but I really think that's a wrap. I think that's a wrap. And I think Dafne Keen saying she's done too. And things can change. That's where I think things are at. By the way, there's something wrong about looking at her in that dress. And I still think, when I think of her, I still think of her in Logan. She's a little girl.
Yeah, it was such a shock in the trailer when they finally did that reveal. And you're like, yeah, that's right. People get older. I mean, it's been years, so she wouldn't be a little kid still.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm so used to seeing her as that little kid with the sunglasses on, you know? That's what it's like having kids too. You're just like, why aren't you still a little kid?
Yeah. Why? Since when were you taller than my chest? Like, yeah. I mean, anyway, guys,
okay.
Question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you believe Daphne Keane when she says, listen, I'm being genuine with you. There have been no conversations about me coming to join the MCU. And if you do believe her, do you think that speaks to the theory that I don't think we're going to see Hugh Jackman again as Wolverine? Or maybe completely the opposite? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I think, as far as the Star Wars side goes, you guys know I believe this. Since the original trilogy of New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, which is obviously the greatest thing ever, the original trilogy, greatest thing ever. But since then, in all the decades that have passed, it is my, as a lifelong Star Wars fanatic's belief, that Andor, Season 1, is the single greatest Star Wars project we have ever had since the original trilogy was made. It's the best. And listen, there's several things from Star Wars we've gotten since Return of the Jedi that I really enjoy. You know, Mando Season 1 and 2. I mean, obviously, I love Rogue One. Rogue One's great. But I kind of feel Andor is like the best thing Star Wars has ever done since Return of the Jedi. I just think it's that good. And of course, Season 2 is now rapidly coming upon us. Now, we heard a little while ago that director Krennic was going to be coming back. And now we got our first look at him. Empire Magazine, as they often do, especially when it comes to Star Wars stuff, they gave us our first look at Ben Mendelsohn in his very classic director Krennic outfit, returning. And I'll scroll down to this too. We got him on the cover. There's the new Empire cover, the Ultimate 2025 preview. And of course, we got Andor featured on the cover there with Mon Mothma, of course, Cassian Andor, and director Krennic, who I love this character. I think, obviously the best scene for a lot of people in Rogue One is Vader doing his hallway of death. But, and that's right up there for me too. But also close to that, I love the scene where Krennic goes to see Vader and Mustafar and has that conversation. And I love that scene a lot. Now, they talked to Krennic about what could be going on in here. And where is it? There we go. I like this quote from Ben Mendelsohn. Just as Krennic bumped up against internal resistance in Rogue One, he'll have even more competition to face in Andor. Like Denise Go's ultra-ambitious Dedra Miro. I love that character in Season 1, by the way. A highlight of Season 1. Ben Mendelsohn says, if they didn't see eye to eye, to me, it's cute, Mendelsohn tells Empire of the Pairs Dynamic in our world-exclusive issue. Dedra versus Krennic? I think it's a bit of a mismatch. They're all underlings to Krennic. Expect plenty of jostling, even if the Imperial forces are all aligned in their aim. They're all going to be in one direction, sensed Mendelsohn. The Empire, if you speak your mind, there are differences of opinion. All right. I remember when news first came out that Ben Mendelsohn was going to be joining Season 2. My first impression, of course, is narratively, absolutely that makes sense. He's the driving force behind the Death Star. Andor is about leading up to the events of Rogue One, and Rogue One is all about getting the plans to the Death Star. So it absolutely made narrative sense that Ben Mendelsohn would be popping up in this. But it also made me something I didn't think was possible. It made me even more excited for Andor Season 2. I mean, I was already ludicrously excited because I love Season 1 so much. But now knowing that he was returning as Krennic, because Ben Mendelsohn, listen, I'll tell you this, he's like one of the best actors out there right now. Like, he's amazing, and he's been phenomenally good for a long time. And just him being there, I think is, as Rob used to say, would class the joint up.
Yeah.
And obviously that means we're going to lean more into the beginning stages of the Death Star. Of course, we got that at the end of the one Star Wars film where we see the Death Star plans. But I think this is great. It narratively makes sense. It's not just because, without the narrative purpose there, it could just be seen as what Star Wars does a lot of lately, which is empty calorie fan service. But this would actually be odd when you think about it if he wasn't there. So I love this. I cannot wait for this to come out. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? And the first image is very classic director Krennic pose and everything. Seeing him going up, maybe go head to head and clash heads with Miro a little bit. This could be fun. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, we still got a few things that we need to talk about here today, including the premiere episode of Dune Prophecy, which dropped last night. We're going to talk about that. Also, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, brand new poster, and now we know when tickets go on sale. And Kel Supri, a Star Wars movie, just lost its release date. It's been pulled from the release schedule. What? Anyway, we're going to talk about that stuff and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Our friends over at Mando and Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mando. Thank goodness it is football season. It's time for tailgates, touchdowns, and Sunday cookouts with the crew. But unfortunately, along with the drinks and the food, sometimes you also bring along your odor. And that is why Mando whole body deodorant should be an absolute tailgate game day essential. And that's why Mando's the MVP. It's clinically proven 72-hour odor control, so it's perfect for long days at the game or at the bar. I'm loving the Clover Wood scent, but they've got options like bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and even unscented if you prefer to go stealth mode. I like to use it after the shower, before the gym, or even important meetings. It's that reliable. And right now, Mando's got a killer deal. New customers get $5 off their best-selling starter pack with my exclusive code CAMPEA. That's over 40% off. Just go to shopmando, that's shopmando.com, and use the code CAMPEA. Seriously, guys, if you want a deodorant that's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and just works better than anything else you've tried, it's time to make the switch to Mando. So don't wait. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. Head over to shopmando.com and use the code CAMPEA and get $5 off your starter pack. Trust me, you're going to love it. That's at shopmando.com. Go and check it out now. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/campea. That's trymiracle.com/campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code CAMPEA at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/campea and use the code CAMPEA to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at Mando and Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Dune Prophecy made its premiere last night on HBO Max. Listen, I love the world of Dune. I loved the first Denis Villeneuve film. I love Dune 2. I personally think Dune 2 is like the best movie made in like the last 10 years. I love it that much. I love the rich mythology of the world and all that kind of stuff. And now we get into Dune Prophecy, taking place about 10,000 years before the birth of Paul Atreides, Timothée Chalamet's character. At the beginnings of the Bene Gesserit. And I remember thinking, looking at the trailers, it's funny how it doesn't look like technology in that world has advanced very much in 10,000 years. But right off the beginning, they reveal that The Butlerian Jihad, right, which is kind of talked about theoretically in the books. I mean, the main author's son later kind of fleshed it out a little bit, but there was like multiple different versions of what that jihad was all about. But the showrunners kind of picked one and kind of went with it. It was a Terminator-like war that took place between machines and men. That at some point in its history, intelligent machines rose up against mankind, and there was a big war between them, and like House Atreides was one of the big heroes in defeating the machines, and hence a galactic ban goes into place. No intelligent machines, no self-thinking machines, no self-aware machines ever allowed. Now, this does a couple of things. Number one, it sets up great why there's this house system and the role of the Bene Gesserit and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing it does is it explains why technology hasn't advanced all that much in the world of Dune. I mean, it has advanced a bit, but not too terribly much. And it also kind of explains why you have the navigators. Like when you get into the main Dune storyline, like why not just, oh, that's why, because they've kind of stunted the growth of machines. I actually really like that a lot. At any rate, so the show had about a 71, 72%, which is not the greatest. I mean, it's still good, but it's not the greatest stuff. And I was kind of hoping for something great. But one of the big recurring themes I heard from a lot of the initial reviews and reactions was, if you're not into Dune, this isn't going to click for you. But if you are into Dune, it should really meet you where you're at. As somebody who's really into Dune, I got to tell you, I loved the first episode. I thought it was great. I love the whole establishment of the sisterhood. I love the fact that, you know, Valia Harkonnen is not the originator. She took over from the original Mother Superior, but like her whole philosophy, establishing the houses, the Emperor already seeing all the back deal, political touch. And I can't remember the name of the actor from Raised by Wolves. Was that the name of the show, the sci-fi show?
Yeah.
With the guy who played Ragnar in Vikings. Yeah. And he's also the main guy in the World of Warcraft movie, Travis Fimmel. That's his name. First person to put that in, Cord Cutter Cam. Thank you, Cord Cutter Cam, in the live chat. Travis I thought he was the moment he showed up, he's got that classic way of the way he speaks and talks, and I thought it was perfect for the character. But it's clearly setting up. There's several conflicts going on, including, for some reason, him not wanting the sisterhood to rise to power. So anyway, the whole thing was great. We meet all the main list of characters. Of course, we meet the sisterhood. We meet the Emperor, played by Mark Strong. We also meet his two children, brother and sister, and the sister's in a prearranged marriage so that the Emperor can get military help on Arrakis so they can mine the spice. And I love her. Love her. So yes, she's this big royal, and she's part of this, but also, to quote the great philosopher Cyndi Lauper, girls just want to have fun because, of course, her and her brother head out and just go hit up a porn club. They go hit up a sex club. Why not?
So it is kind of like Game of Thrones in a way.
Yeah, and she's engaged to a 9-year-old. Fabulous. Anyway, look, without going into it all that too much, I thought episode 1, personally for me, did a great job of establishing where this world is at, getting into the great mythologies, setting up their characters, and a great first episodes need to have a great ending. And I thought the ending of the first episode was great.
So,
now,
yeah.
But I will say this. I loved it. But I can totally vouch for all those reactions and reviews that came out that said, hey, listen, if you're not a big Dune person or you're not really into the lore of Dune and stuff like that, this might not be for you. Totally get it. Because, you know, Penguin, even if you're not a comic book movie fan, I think if you're just somebody who appreciates good television drama, you can watch Penguin and love it. I agree with those reviewers and reactors who said, hey, listen, if you're not into Dune, you're not up on the lore, Dune may not be for you. And I could totally get why they said that. I think they were right about that. I don't know that anybody just clicking on Dune as like their first Dune experience.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
But
you wouldn't jump
I'm
into...
just saying, for me, it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a chance to get into it. I'm going to get into it tonight. But I guess when we're talking about HBO being consummate quality, would you still say this like sets up as far as the quality, the level of intrigue, your interest for the future? What I'm going to be interested too is if it has an upward trajectory on its viewership.
Yeah, I mean that's the great point, right? Because two shows we just finished watching, Agatha and Penguin, both did a fairly rare thing, not never heard of, but like a fairly rare thing where every single episode the viewership went up for both Agatha and Penguin. Up, 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 up. Now a lot of shows, even well-received ones, they premiere big and then their viewership levels off. And then maybe spike a little bit at the season premieres or at the season finales, right? What will the Dune viewership do? I'm not so, again, because I don't think it has the wider appeal like, say, Penguin did.
Sure.
So I think it's going to premiere fairly strong and then plateau, and that's fine. Then hopefully it keeps its audience and then can peak at the season finale. But I'm not expecting to see that up, 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 up trajectory that, say, Agatha All Along had or Penguin had.
So the premiere wasn't like the Game of Thrones premiere, because they're saying this is supposed to be, like, some people are saying, like Game of Thrones or the next Game of Thrones or sort of the Game of Thrones.
It definitely, see, I would say this. Because of the backstabbing, the political maneuvering, all that kind of stuff. Is it similar to Game of Thrones in that way? Yes. But to all those people who I've seen, it's like, this just kind of feels like they're copying Game of Thrones. My response is, you do realize that Dune has been around way longer than Game of Thrones. And the book, even the original books, with the original stories and stuff like that, all had that political maneuvering and stuff like that. Even in the movies, we see it, right? So, like, that kind of form of storytelling, Dune's been doing it decades longer than Game of Thrones has.
So it's sort of like how Lord of the Rings ripped off Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. Quoting the comic strip. Because there were a lot of people say, yeah, this Lord of the Rings just feels like it's ripping off Dungeons and Dragons, or Dungeons and Dragons is just, Lord of the Rings is ripping off Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, you do know that Lord of the Rings has been around way longer than Dungeons and Dragons has. Anyway, I liked it, but I can see why it's not going to be for everybody. But for me, it's now my new Sunday must watch.
I'm excited to see how episode 2 picks up.
Yes.
So,
because listen, it's like the Disney Plus shows, right?
Yeah.
We found out it's not that hard to start strong. Because most Disney Plus shows, hell, I even think Secret Invasion. I thought Secret Invasion episode 1 started fairly strong. And then went, right? So, okay, Dune Prophecy for me, double thumbs up, started strong. I cannot wait to see where it goes. The question is going to be, can episodes 2, 3, 4 maintain that? Or does it go to the crapper like a lot of the Disney Plus stuff does? We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see Dune Prophecy, the first episode? I personally loved it, but I don't think everybody will. Maybe you're one of those people that you watch it and you thought, not for me. Maybe you liked it more than I did. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, we got a lot of great movies opening up here. We got Gladiator 2. We got Wicked. We got Moana 2. But lest you forget, there's another highly anticipated movie coming. Ray knows what it is.
Top of the box office, baby.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
That's right.
It's coming. I believe December 20th.
Yep.
December 20th.
Is its release date.
Yeah.
And we just got 2 significant pieces of info about it. The first is a brand new poster. They just dropped a brand new poster for it. I don't know if you've got that there, Jonathan, but there it is. And I like how they both prominently have Eggman and his dad prominent at the top. Of course, you got Shadow at the top, Sonic and Knuckles and Tails in there as well.
It's very busy. Very busy, but maybe in a good way. Busy.
Sonic's in a couple spots there, but you know, he's quick. Ray, it's 40X. They got this in 40X.
No way.
I see it at the bottom.
No, sorry.
You don't want to see this in 40X?
No. I only save those for like natural disaster movies. I agree
with you, but this kind of strikes me as maybe the kind of movie that might not be good in 40X.
The nice thing too is the runtime's only like an hour 20, hour 30.
Put it this way. Let's see it first, regular.
Oh boy.
You know what? That's
then-
probably a good plan.
Because I don't want to ruin the first showing with
Man,
something I'm unsure of.
I'm raw dogging this thing. I'm
Oh,
going
boy.
right into 40X.
Oh,
right into 4DX. No lube.
No
Let's go.
seatbelts, just doing it.
So
What
the
are you
first
guys talking
the first poster's out. And again, I think the poster looks quite good.
Yeah.
But the second interesting piece of information is now we know when the tickets go on sale. And they go on sale a week from today.
Yes.
They go on sale on November 25th. Now, the big question is, how big can this movie be? There are still some insane people out there who think this is going to be $1 billion film. It is not. But it's going to be big. Like, what did the first movie make? Like in the 300s, and the second one made in the 400s?
Yeah, I believe it was an upward trajectory.
It was definitely
was,
an upward trajectory. Like the first one did pretty solid.
319.
319 million for the
And then the
first
second one did 405.
405.
But wasn't the
So-
first one didn't come out during the pandemic? Near the
2020.
pandemic?
2020.
Yeah, right in that area stuff. But then the second one, the box office went up.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect the third one, the box office, to go up as well. I mean, especially when they mentioned Keanu Reeves is going to be doing the voice of Shadow and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think that's exciting. I think this is going to be big. I think it's targeting $500 million. I think it can get to 500 million.
That
plus.
seems what the
I'm praying for
trajectory.
6.
You
Well,
think
that would be
6?
amazing. The trajectory, I'd agree, is probably more like 550. But
I'm praying for 6 that it's actually, if it's a good movie, I think it could hit 6, maybe a little bit over. Especially if Keanu and the Jim Carrey and all that stuff will bring in the crowd. But it has to be a good movie.
Well, I mean, that's it though, too, right? Like, because if the movie sucks, it ain't going to hit $500 million.
Yeah.
If it's really good with the Christmas release date and all that kind of stuff, I'm still thinking targeting 5, but 6 isn't out of the question. I don't think 6 is out of the question. If it's as good as the other two, and I know this might sound weird. I know everybody got all excited for good reason, when we found out that Keanu Reeves is going to be doing the voice of Shadow. But to me, the news that got me most excited was when we found out Jim Carrey was coming back.
Yeah.
Because remember, after Sonic 2, he said, I'm done. Not just with Sonic, like Jim Carrey kind of hinted that he was just retired now from acting. But then out of nowhere, somehow, some way, the Emperor has returned. Jim Carrey, news came out, was going to come back. And when that happened, listen, I already really liked the first 2 Sonic movies, but I wouldn't say I was like super excited for the third. But then when they announced Jim Carrey was coming back, I'm like, okay, let's go.
When Jim Carrey does a movie, you go out and see it. That's the way I feel about it. We don't have many of these left. I mean, not as in he's gonna die or anything like that, but who knows how long he's gonna be in this game. So I believe like we should all go out and see this man work. You know, I think he's gonna steal the show.
I get he stole the show in the first 2. Listen, I love James Marsden in the first couple. I obviously Sonic, the movie's called Sonic. Sonic is a wonderful character. What's the name of the guy who does the voice of it again?
Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz, right.
Idris
John
Elba.
Ralphio.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba is not. By the way, I did not like the Knuckles series.
You didn't? I thought
No.
it was cute for,
I'm halfway-
for a giveaway.
I'm halfway through it. I'm 3 episodes in.
For a
Like,
giveaway
as somebody
series.
who loves the Sonic movies, I thought I would love because I love the Knuckles character in the movie. I honestly found it kind of cringy.
It leans a little more on the childish, but I will say I've only seen 3 episodes, but each episode there is a moment where I'm just like, that's pretty funny. That's kind of in a stupid kind of way, you know?
It didn't get you at the end of the series, John, to even just be excited to see Knuckles in Sonic 3?
No.
No, it didn't.
No.
It worked that way for me.
I mean, I am excited to see Knuckles again in the movie, but like nothing about the show excited me.
Oh, okay.
I wish I enjoyed it more, but it didn't actually kind of lowered but I'm back up. My excitement's there. Can't wait to see it. Guys, question is for you. What do you think of the new poster for Sonic 3? And are you going to be buying your tickets 1 week from today, November 25th, when they go on sale? Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Death, taxes, and Star Wars projects getting canceled. The 3 immutable, unchangeable rules of the universe right now. Look, we talked many times, gone down this huge laundry list. Remember we did this a couple of weeks ago. I brought up that list. this huge laundry list of all the Star Wars projects that got announced and canceled, writers and directors being announced and canceled, blah, 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 blah. All these things are not unusual for Hollywood. Then happening at the incredible rate they happen at Lucasfilm is rare. I have no idea how Kathleen Kennedy still has her job as the head of Lucasfilm. She is I say this every time because I want to make sure nobody thinks I'm just some wild, unhinged Kathy Kennedy hater. She is a first ballot Hollywood Hall of Famer. No doubt. One of the greatest producers with one of the best resumes in the history of the business. I'm not taking any of that away from her. But being a movie producer is a different job than being the head of a studio. They're two different jobs with two different sets of skills needed and totally different sets of responsibilities. And just because you're awesome at one does not mean you're going to be good at the other. Wayne Gretzky is the greatest professional athlete of all time. Ask me how he did as a coach. Not so good, because it's a different thing.
But Pat Riley did good.
But Pat Riley did great, but he wasn't, he wasn't a LeBron when he played. Sure. But now, something we speculated is now official. As Variety has announced.
Don't say it.
That Disney has removed Star Wars from its release schedule. It's gone.
It's just like Star Wars in general has been released from its schedule.
It's just gone. Now, not to say that it may not come back. That's not going to come back. But it is gone. This comes to us again from Variety, wrote the following. Disney, in news that will shock the world, has removed an untitled Star Wars film, which we knew was going to be the Rey movie. Has removed an untitled Star Wars film previously scheduled for December 18th, 2026 from its release calendar. But don't worry, folks. Ice Age 6 is going to come and now take its place.
Just in time.
While it was never confirmed exactly what this project would be, Shireen Obaid Chinoy was previously announced as the director of the upcoming Star Wars film following Daisy Ridley's Rey after the events of 2019 Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. The film lost screenwriter, by the way, its third set of screenwriters. The film just lost its screenwriter, Stephen Knight, which we all got excited when we found out. It's like, oh my God, Stephen Knight's writing it. This could be, oh no, he's gone. Earlier this year, after Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson previously departed the project, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy said at last year's Star Wars Celebration that Ridley's new film would follow Rey as she rebuilds the Jedi Order. All right. Here's the thing, guys. What's left to be said? What is left to be said, and what else has to happen? Star Wars has put out some good stuff. I'm not taking any of that away, all right? I loved Rogue One. I love Mandalorian Season 1 and 2. I love Rebels. Like, there are things that have been very good. There have been some things that have been very good. And some things that have been horribly awful. But that's not why. The results that we've gotten on screen, some pretty good things, some pretty awful things. The main thing is the utter organizational failure of Lucasfilm at this point. I won't bore you by going through that whole 20-something point list again of all the projects and directors have come and gone in such a short period of time over projects. Kathy Kennedy cannot shepherd a project. She can't get the right people on board that align with her creatively because she brings them on and then they're gone. Again and again and again and again and again and again and a fucking again. And we speculated when Stephen Knight said he was off the project. It's like, you know what? It's probably not going to be long before we hear that it's going to get pulled from the release schedule.
No, and when we spoke about Simon Kinberg coming on to do a trilogy, I'm like, then I don't think this Rey thing's going to get happening. But at this point, it might be, R.I.P. to Kinberg's writing or producing on a Star Wars series too. So,
I mean, and is that going to be a replacement for what the Rey thing was? The Hollywood Reporter did a big article on this, and a lot of it was speculation saying, well, Rey is the only kind of connective piece of tissue. Whatever you're going to do has got to be done with Rey. No, it doesn't. Listen, and again, Just so you know that I'm not some rabid, just blind hater, I love Daisy Ridley. And I like the Rey character. I didn't love what they did with her in a lot of situations, but I like the character in principle, and I love Daisy Ridley. But even as somebody who is a Daisy Ridley appreciator and a defender of the Rey character, you have to read the room and understand that through no fault of her own, Daisy Ridley is a visual symbolic representation of one of the most divisive things that have ever happened in the Star Wars fandom. I mean, it was almost a fatal 1-2 punch. The prequel sucked ass, and then, I mean, at best, the sequels were, at best, and to be generous, a very mixed bag. But a lot of people hated them, and the visual representation of that is unfortunately the Rey character. Why they would ever, and we've talked about this before, I know, but why they would ever go back to the Rey character, which instantly you're losing half the audience. I don't like that. I don't like that that's the case. I hate that that's the case. But you got to be a realist. By revolving the new Star Wars movie around Rey, you're kind of losing half the audience right away. So what's the strategy here? Do I like the idea of rebuilding the Jedi Order? Yes. But you know what you do? You tell the next movie, I don't know, 150 years later. And you reference that Rey emerged out of that chaotic era and reestablished a new Jedi Order. And now we pick up with that, like not 1,000 years later, but 100 years later, or something like that. I don't know. There's lots of, you don't, contrary to what the Hollywood Reporter article said, and I love the Hollywood Reporter, but you don't have to use Rey.
Yeah, I don't understand that comment.
You have to reference her.
Sure.
100%. You got to reference that she came out of the chaos and reestablished a Jedi Order. Sure, that's fine. But the problem is, it doesn't matter what your destination is if the fucking car is broke down, because you ain't getting anywhere. And I'm sorry, but as again, and I say this as somebody with a world of reverence for Kathleen Kennedy and what she has done as a producer in the world of film, 100% I'm an appreciator of her. Star Wars is never going to get where it needs to be as long as she is the head of the company. And how she is still there is absolutely beyond me. Like, it's like watching an NFL quarterback that constantly throws more interceptions than touchdowns every year, yet is still the starting quarterback for 5 years. Like, everybody's looking at, how is this guy still the quarterback? You're never going to win with them there. And here we are again talking about another Star Wars project that has come and gone. Now, listen, they very well, because we speculated when they announced Stephen DeKnight left, or not DeKnight, Stephen DeKnight is another guy entirely.
Right.
When they announced that Stephen Knight has left, and we speculated, you know what? They're probably going to pull this movie off the schedule, and they did. It could very well reappear for 2027 or 2028. I'm not saying that the project is dead, but here we are again. And how many guys, listen, Bob Iger, Big Papa Iger. Hopefully one of your minions will pass this on to you. What are we doing? What's going on? You clearly take the Marvel world very seriously. Why are you not taking the Star Wars universe seriously? And I say that because as long as Kathleen Kennedy's the head, and I get it, George Lucas handpicked her. I was all for her selection as well at first. I think most Star Wars fans were. I think most Star Wars fans were like, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, on paper, this is a good choice. George Lucas picked well. And that's fine. But after some time passes and you realize it's not working out, you got to make a change. So what are you doing? I cannot help but feel, guys, that if this was any of the other Disney studios, if this was Pixar, if this was Marvel, if this was, name your division, that now year after year after year after year has shown that we can't really make this go, they would have removed the head of that studio ages ago and replaced them. So I'm just kind of left here with like what are we doing?
Yeah. No, even the parks, like even if you like, let's say it's the parks department. Oh, well, this ride's going to be built. No, never mind. We're changing it to this ride. You'd accept that a couple times. And then it'd be like, we're going to make this whole land at this other park. No, actually, that's been scrapped. And now 10 years has gone by and Disneyland hasn't opened a new ride or a new land at any one of their theme parks.
Attendance decreased for 10 years straight.
And everyone's just like, it's fine.
What do you think about Kinberg's trilogy then?
Well,
I mean, I still have hope for that.
How does
but like I said when we announced it, right? I have no belief that it's actually going to happen. Like in principle, I like the idea. I'm hopeful for Simon Kinberg bringing something to her trilogy, but I don't actually believe it's going to happen.
Well, do you think what their plan, if there are plans right now, do you think that could have been a little reason maybe why they removed Rey?
Maybe the Simon Kinberg thing is kind of replacing what the Rey thing was.
Conflicts with that
but
story.
Even if that's true,
why announce
because
it?
you could be right. Even if that's true, it once again shows that Kathleen Kennedy didn't think it all out before standing on stage at Star Wars Celebration and announcing, we're doing this and we're doing this. Like, you clearly, so if it's only being pulled because it's going to be replaced with the Simon Kinberg thing, well, once again, that's just more proof that she doesn't know how to do long-term planning.
They're in it for the applause.
DC was guilty of that for a long time.
And here's the other thing. With Disney, listen, on paper and in theory, I like the Bob Chapek hire too. And it only took them 2 years to kick his ass out when they realized it wasn't working. So if you can do that, if you can put an executive in place and you within 2 years can recognize this isn't working, you pulled the trigger, got rid of them and whatever. Why has that not happened with Lucasfilm?
Unless there's like some weird contract that she is guaranteed cannot be removed from her position for X amount of years. I don't know.
It can't be. They would never, Bob Iger would never allow that.
I know.
Right? Would absolutely never allow that. So I don't know. I'm just at a loss. And once again, here we are again, talking about another big trip, another writer leaving, another director leaving, another project being canceled, another thing being removed off the release schedule. It's like, this is all we talk about now when we talk about Star Wars.
Is this a situation, John, with Kathleen Kennedy where you see we just need one win and everything? Or do you think it needs more than that?
No, because Andor was a win.
Yeah.
Mando season 1 was a win. Like I said, that's why I started off this whole conversation by saying, listen, I acknowledge they've had a couple of good things. A couple of things that I really enjoy. But this whole thing, guess what? If you're going to put a team out on the ice that wins 50% of the time, but you're constantly in the news for all the behind the scenes garbage and like you can't keep a head coach and you can't keep your coordinators and your players aren't happy and your stars are asking for trades and all that, like you're going to be gone. Because if you can't get your act together in the boardroom, you're never going to produce consistent high quality stuff on the screen.
It's honestly not even 50%. If you look at Disney Plus's like the home, like their field, it's 50% home games, and then they're losing all their away. So it's worse. It's a worse record than 50.
You know, Mike on the live chat said, this is only sports fans will get this. Kathleen Kennedy is the movie's version of Jerry Jones. Yeah, kind of. Kind of in a way.
Oh my God, I'm just thinking of him from the show. And he's like on his knees. He's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I just don't know what to. Anyway, guys, question is for you. I mean, clearly none of us are shocked that this movie's been pulled off the release schedule, and it very well could go back on the release schedule at a later date, like 2027, 2028. It could. But here we are again with Lucasfilm tripping over its own feet again.
Yeah.
And again, and again, and again, and again. How much more needs to happen before... And listen, I not only want this for all of us fans, I want this for Kathleen Kennedy too. Kathleen Kennedy should go back to doing what she is one of the greatest of all time doing. Just straight up being a film producer. Go back to that. You're awesome at it. You'll have great success. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, it's time for us to get to the most important part of our discussion here today, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank a couple of more sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Tile and Public Rec. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Life 360 Tile Trackers. With the holidays right around the corner, it's all about family, fun, and of course, keeping track of everything while traveling or hosting. For me, that's where Life 360's Tile Trackers are an absolute lifesaver. These little things help keep the holiday stress in check. Whether I'm tracking my keys, wallet, or even our luggage when we travel, Tile Trackers make it easy to keep tabs on everything important. Just open the Tile app to ring it when it's nearby, or track down its location on the map if it's a bit farther. I had mentioned this one time I went to a poker tournament in Vegas, and I keep everything, my wallet, my tablet, and stuff like that, in this satchel backpack of mine, and I thought I lost it. I went crazy for hours until I finally realized I had left it in the car. If I had had Tile Tracker, it would have made my life a lot simpler. And here's one of the things I love about Tile. Tile syncs with Life 360, so I can see the location of my family members and all of our tiled items in one spot. So make your holidays a little less stressful and family-proof your season with Life 360's Tile Trackers. Visit tile.com and use the code Campea to get 15% off. That's tile.com. Use the code Campea. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Public Rec. Guys, we all know finding pants that both look good and feel good has always been a major challenge. Public Rec's Daymaker pants are here to make sure you stay comfy and classy this season. I absolutely love that they feel like your favorite sweats, but they look like tailored pants. They're super stretchy with an elastic waistband, so you can wear them anywhere. The first thing I noticed when I put these pants on was they go on and feel just like my most comfortable pair of sweats, yet they look so good. Another great thing about these pants is, when you order comfortable pants, you only get to pick from like small, medium, or large and extra large sizes, but with Daymaker pants, you get to select the exact width and length that you need. Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants made, but they have a huge selection of high quality everyday basics, like this beautiful hoodie I was wearing on the show the other day. So stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off with the code Campea at publicrec.com. And listen, after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them that we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you've found Public Rec. And thank you to our friends at Tile and Public Rec for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to the main things here and taking your live comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
All right. First off, Elijah, welcome to Actor. So always happy to have new members. We got Bobby Jackson with a two-parter. Hi, John. I know you think Fantastic Four will make more than Superman, but I have a feeling it will be the other way around. I believe Superman will make around $700 million and Fantastic Four around $500. My reasoning is that Gunn showing an already established world of heroes such as Supergirl, Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, etc. It's like a mini Justice League film, giving it an extra pop, and fans will want to see these characters' first appearances again and again in theaters, of course, assuming the movie is good.
Based on what? Here's the thing. Show me one shred or piece of evidence that shows me audiences can't wait to go to the theater to see Guy Gardner. Audiences can't wait to go to the theater to see Hawkgirl. Show me one bit of evidence about that. Because I'll just be honest, I haven't seen one shred of evidence that that's true. We had Black Adam that had a whole bunch of characters in it. Whole bunch of characters. Still only made $400 million. Right? And listen, I am cheering for Superman. I cannot wait. And I think it will be the key to establishing and beginning the rehabilitation of the image of DC and setting DC on a path of success. I do. But I don't think it's going to make a lot of money because the audience gave up on going to DC films. Hence the results of Flash, the results of Black Adam, the results of Shazam 2, the results of Blue Beetle. Like all these movies made pathetically small amounts of money, and you think that's just going to magically change? I mean, I hope. Listen, for the record, dude, I hope you're right. I do, but I think it is a pipe dream to think the Superman will make that much money. I think it's going to be awesome, and I think it'll start the process of DC films making more and more money because audiences are going to start to learn that, oh, hey, this new DCU is actually really good. So fingers crossed. I hope you're right. I just don't see evidence backing it up right now. But again, we'll find out. We'll find out. All right. Thanks for the question, man. I appreciate it. What's next?
Anonymous says, saw a question about Avatar release yesterday. Do you think it'd be a smarter choice for Disney to re-release Avatar 1 and 2 or both next year before Avatar 3 comes out? If they do A1, it might reach $3 billion. If they do A2, could build excitement for A3.
We talked about that on the other day. That the idea of re-releasing Avatar 1 and 2 in theaters in the lead up to Avatar 3. Yeah, I think if they think they can make enough money to justify putting it in theaters and the marketing costs and all that kind of stuff. So it's not a lot. But yeah, listen, I don't think Disney cares about pushing Avatar, which is the highest grossing film of all time, over the $3 billion mark. I mean, would they like that? Sure. Would they undertake a huge project of putting it in theaters just to do that? No. But just as a big roll-up program and strategy to Avatar 3, there's some value in that. And so I think they will. I think we're going to see Avatars 1 and 2 re-released in theaters prior to Avatar 3 coming out to kind of build the hype.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
Matan says, I know that the corporate structure is different, but the Penguin makes me wish that FX worked on a Marvel or Star Wars show. Imagine the production standards of Shogun or the Americans being applied to Marvel and Star Wars. Yes, I know that Legion exists.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because, look, under Disney, there's a whole bunch of different companies, right? One of them is Hulu and FX. And like they all do things different ways. And yes, the stuff that FX has made has been incredible, like Shogun and all that kind of stuff. Just because something works for one, I don't know that that's necessarily would work for another, right? Like, I don't know that it would. Just because it works here doesn't mean it'll work over here. So the style of Penguin was perfect for that show. But can you take that style and apply it to a Marvel project?
I could have.
I'm not sure.
I could have seen the Daredevil series maybe playing on FX, maybe in some different universe.
Yeah.
Let's not forget FX has that Alien series coming out.
Yeah, Alien Earth.
Yeah. That should give us because that's gonna be a bigger budget show, right?
I hope.
Yeah.
So that's gonna give us a little tell.
I feel like they were touching on it with Echo. They made us feel like that's where they were going with Echo.
Right. Oh,
and
yeah,
it just
Echo,
didn't stick the landing, but you never know. Maybe it'll be
Oh, God, I hated Echo.
maybe Daredevil will be something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's already got a blueprint, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, what's next?
A performing artist says, hello, crew. Have you all noticed the chameleon talent of Sebastian Stan the last couple of years? Donald Trump, Bucky, Tommy Lee, the part he played in I, Tonya, etc. He has a different man out right now. He's getting more impressive. I'm happy for him. He is an excellent actor.
He's really good. And you know what? He's super nice. I was lucky that he came into my studio once and we did a live interview thing, and he was super nice, super great. I'm so glad you mentioned I, Tonya. He's so good in I, Tonya.
I love that movie.
But you're right. He is a truly well-ranged thespian. He's a great actor who can pull off just about anything. And I think he's going to be around and have a lot of really, really impressive projects.
He played Tommy Lee, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I didn't see
in that panel. And he was great as Tommy Lee. He was so good. All right, what's next?
A performing artist says, hot take, top 3 Marvel shows. Loki for the best writing and execution. 2, Falcon and Winter Soldier, best cliffhanger, blood on the shield. Best fight, Falky, Bucky, U.S. Agent. And viral moment of Zemo. I love Zemo dancing. 3, Hawkeye, most pure fun, chases, hijinks, and macaroni scene.
You know what? It's all subjective, right? I personally did not like the Hawkeye. I think it had the odd episode that I enjoyed, but overall I didn't like the Hawkeye series. I thought Falcon Winter Soldier was solid. I thought it was solid. Some great highlight moments, some stuff I really could have done without, but overall I thought it was solid. And Loki is very good. See, Loki is like my third all-time favorite MCU character. I love the Loki character. I was a little underwhelmed with season 1. Like I didn't dislike it, but I was a bit underwhelmed with season 1. I thought season 2 was an improvement. I liked it. I still think WandaVision, like by far, even though Loki is a much more favorite character of mine than say Scarlet Witch is, but I still thought the show was significantly better. But hey, that's why they put out so much content. It strikes us all in different ways, and we're all going to have a different list. All right, what's next?
Red Green Canuck says, in Canada, we have a major theater chains with identical movie memberships, $9.99 a month, one movie ticket, and discounts on additional tickets. Is there still hope we will get something approximate to AMC? I would be a buyer at $20 and a movie a week.
So that is a very similar loyalty program that
Regal?
Cinemark.
Oh, Cinemark, yeah.
Cinemark has. So Regal and AMC have a similar...
Yeah.
They have differences, but they have a similar loyalty program. You spend X number of dollars and you get pretty much all the movies you need. Like with AMC, I think it's 12 movies a month, but really not, there's a very, very small percentage of the population that's going to more than 12 movies a month.
If I do one a week, I'm like, I'm doing great.
Yeah. So then you get like the Cinemark plan. That is very much like that one. $10 a month gets you one movie ticket, which actually already saves you a bit of money. But then it gives you like discounts. So, I mean, that's still a good program. That still saves the moviegoer money. The AMC one is a very ambitious one. I personally think with all the crap I give AMC, the AMC A-List program is the best program in the world for movie fans. Like I pay, what do we pay? $25? $25 a month. I get up to 12 movies. I still earn reward points for free stuff. I get discounts. I get upgrades. So I pay for medium popcorn, but I get a large. I pay for a medium soft drink, but I get a large. It's such a great program. It has saved me when you go to the movies as much as Ann and I do. It saves you tons of money, but it took a huge investment for them to get that program going. And for the first couple of years, they operated it at a loss. But it has now turned profitable. It's difficult for a thing to do that. So I would say be grateful for any loyalty program that saves you money. And it sounds like this one does. But the chances of them adopting an AMC, I hope they do. I really do. Because that AMC one and Regal Unlimited plan is not quite as good as the AMC plan, but still very, very good. Those plans are great. If you live near one of those theaters, guys, make sure you get one of those programs.
Didn't they combat Movie Pass with those memberships, or were they always in place before? I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Well, what was happening was Cineworld in the UK, they've had a program like this for ages, before Movie Pass was ever around. So before Movie Pass even came out here, AMC had been studying what they were doing in the UK. So, and I think that might have been one of the reasons AMC was initially resistant to Movie Pass, because they knew that eventually they wanted to do their own program. But again, and listen, I love the Movie Pass program, but I think the best thing out there is the AMC one.
Right.
All right, what's next?
Jarrett says, hey guys, just watched Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special and really enjoyed what Gunn did. It got me hoping to see some of that in the DCU. It'd be even cooler if they made it a yearly event where a different superhero has a Christmas adventure each year. If they're good, it could become a thing where folks go to Max for the yearly DCU's Christmas special. That might be asking for too much, though. In any case, a nice Superman or Bat Family or any hero Christmas adventure would be delightful.
No, I don't. I actually don't agree. And I say that as somebody who absolutely loves the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. I was critical of it before it came out. And then I watched it that first time. I'm like, and I'm serious. This is now a couple of years later, but I'm dead serious. The Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special is my all-time favorite Christmas special now. More than Rudolph, more than Frosty. The Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special is my all-time favorite Christmas special. But it was perfect for it. I don't think you do that in DC and make it an annual thing. See, I'm going to say no. For me personally, I'm not saying anybody else should feel this way. I'm just saying for me personally, I don't think it'll work. And I don't think it's good for the brand. But for some reason, the Guardians of the Galaxy one worked, and it was perfect and awesome. Kevin Bacon was great in it. And if you guys have not seen it, as Sooth is saying, more than Die Hard guide, let's not start this debate again. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Bruce Willis confirmed that. It's not a Christmas movie. So let's move on. All right, what's next?
Garden Variety says, just heard that Sydney Sweeney only signed on for Madam Web to get her rom-com greenlit. If we have a winner, good on her. But which? Because Anyone But You came out the year before Madam Web. So which?
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know who wrote it, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. Listen, people sign on for these superhero movies because they think it's going to turn into something big. I mean, look, it worked really well for Tom Hardy, right? Tom Hardy had great success playing Venom. Whatever you think about Venom doesn't matter. He had great success playing Venom. And so, I mean, I don't know.
I guess it could have been Anyone But You because
It's
when
probably
these
Anyone But
deals
You.
are being made, it's way in advance. So.
Yeah. It's probably Anyone But You, but anyway.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Funko Pimp says in a two-parter, the commentary by Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy for Deadpool and Wolverine is top tier. So many fun tidbits revealed, like that Chris Evans was only on set for 2 days. That shouldn't be surprising.
No, that tracks.
They truly don't know why Thor was crying. Happy Hogan was almost going to be Nick Fury.
Oh, that would have been cool too.
The Batman neck joke was originally much meaner, but Feige told him to make it nicer. Madonna had put input in the arrangement for the climactic choir version, that's Ray's favorite part, of Like a Prayer, and a ton more. I highly recommend it because it was great, and he was high, so...
I was really pissed off
He was like,
that I bought a digital thing of Deadpool and Wolverine only because we had a viewing party.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't wait for it to air on Disney Plus. So I just bought it, and none of the special features were on it.
That sucks. They're saying this is on Disney Plus, so you can catch it there.
All right. Well, so at least I'll be able to watch it
Yeah.
there, but I was really mad at first. So I have not seen the director's commentary. I'm definitely going to do that. I love director's commentaries. And to have Ryan and Sean Levy doing it, I think that is awesome. I cannot wait to watch that and listen to it. I love that. By the way, I also need to sit down and watch, because you know what, Disney Plus puts out those, once a series comes out, they do that making of.
Yeah.
And they've got that one of those out for Deadpool and Wolverine, so I got to watch that too.
Assembled, I think they're called.
Yeah, that's right. So I got to watch that. All right, what's next?
Noam says, saw Gladiator 2 yesterday. It was great. The plot isn't good as good as the first, but the action is phenomenal. Denzel is definitely the MVP of this movie. Glad to see Ridley succeed after his rough couple of films.
Everywhere I'm hearing is that Gladiator 2 is a winner. And everybody's almost the same thing as that. Almost everybody I've talked to and read that has seen it is, okay, listen, not as good as the original. That's fine. But it's really good. Great. I didn't need it to be as good as the original. Like, the original is one of our all-time favorite films. So it doesn't have to be that good, but all I needed to hear is that it's good. Because with Ridley Scott, we haven't gotten much of that in the last couple of decades. So just to hear that it's really good, that's great. Everybody seems to acknowledge not as good as the first, and that's fine. As long as it's great, that's all I care about. I cannot wait to watch it this week. All right, what's next?
Suthia says, been seeing some fan art, Finn as a Jedi Master, and I thought, I now want to see him in the upcoming Rey movie. Finn is definitely a little Force sensitive, so why not have him be Rey's first student? Do you think Boyega would return if asked to?
Yes. I mean, for a long time, Boyega was like, you ain't going to Disney Plus me, and talked about how much he hated his experience doing it, and he hated to turn out. But then, if you remember, maybe it was about a year ago, his tone started to change. And he did a couple of those interviews where it started to sound like, yeah, I would, for the right role and for the right story, I would come back. Yeah. So that started to change. So do I think if they asked John Boyega to come back to play Finn again, would he? I actually think he would. And listen, narrative would make sense for him to be in there because they clearly did indicate that he was at least a little Force sensitive. That they made clear. So you could. I just think it would be a mistake. Not because I don't like John Boyega. It's just the same thing as Daisy Ridley. As a matter of fact, I really like John Boyega. But you can't, if you want this thing to be successful, you can't just carry on with that stuff. I think they need to move on from it. But to answer your question, yes, I think if they asked him to return, that he would. All right, what's next?
Suthius is back, says, do you think Doomsday might have one of those cliche storylines where the seniors end up in trouble or captured, and it's up to the younger counterparts to save them to fight the antagonists? I don't mind that cliche, but hope the story will be good.
No, I don't think so.
What are we talking
To
about?
Doom Avengers, to waste, to
Doomsday.
have that, and then to waste the movie with all these top tier heroes just stuck in prison.
Stuck being held prisoner by somebody, and it's up to the young heroes.
Yeah,
It's up to
Dude, that would actually ruin Marvel's like reputation if
that's
they
an
did
animated movie.
For an
yeah, it's
Avengers.
up to Billy and
That's a what
Ms.
if.
Marvel and Kate Bishop to go and rescue the Avengers.
You know what? That's what if.
That's a what if, or
Yep.
or I think you're right too, Ray. That's an animated thing you do if you want to. No, I don't think they're going to do that, like at all.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
James Wheeler with a $20 tip says,
Thank you, James.
good morning, everyone. Yesterday, I watched what may have been Cillian Murphy's best performance, Small Things Like These. I want to see that. It focuses around what were called Magdalene laundries in Ireland and the abuses they perpetrated.
I am not familiar with this.
It's
What is
it's
it?
a smaller indie film that's out right now. It's only like, I think it's playing like at the AMC 8 to give you like this.
Yeah, because I just was looking at my listings this morning, and it's nothing.
Yeah, and he seems to be like a caretaker of this like kind of facility where I don't know, I don't think it's even orphans, but maybe girls that have gotten in trouble, and they send them to these like what is it called? Like where like nuns oversee like the grounds.
Okay,
Like
a convent.
coven.
Yeah.
But they're kind of like almost forced to be there. And it's based on like true stories.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah.
He plays Father Bill Furlong.
Yeah.
All
Discovers
right.
disturbing secrets kept by the local
Right.
convent.
Exactly.
Convent, not
Convent,
coven.
yeah.
Convent. Coven is witches.
Yeah.
Convent.
Convent.
This is totally different. All right, what's next?
Jay Newby says, my fiance and I do couples costumes every Halloween. This year, she was a monkey and I was a banana. She asked what she would be or what we should be next year. And I got the biggest look of disappointment when I mentioned Oz Cobb and Ma.
That's
Maybe you and Ann could pull it off.
Anne.
Oscar.
Anne is all about the couples costumes. We do them every year. We have for a couple of years. We did Deadpool and Wolverine this year. She really wants to do Green Hornet and Kato. So we're looking at doing that one another time. Then we even did, and every year we do multiple sets of costumes. So like last year we did a bunch of costumes, but one of them was Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. But she was both. Anne was dressed as, I did Jason Kelce. Some of you guys might remember I had the costume. I was Jason Kelce and Anne was Travis Kelce. And she had the fake mustache too, sunglasses, the Chiefs jersey, and she had a blow up blonde doll that she had walking around with her, and she was Travis and Taylor Swift. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know that we'll do Penguin and Ma, but I do like that one. I think that's a great idea. All right, what's next?
Garden Variety says, fun Italian pop quiz for you, John, that I think you'll like. What popular genre actor was born Marcus Giuseppe Salasolia? And he has the answer here, but pause for a guess. The great Mark Strong.
Oh, I was going to say, well, it's Mark something.
Yeah.
So Mark Strong makes sense. By the way,
Yeah.
he's another guy that does not get the kudos he deserves.
Yeah.
He's another guy who can do anything. And he's all like, as soon as he pops up on screen in anything, he brings a power to it. And I just think he does not get the love he deserves. He deserves more credit. But yeah, good one. I like that. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, last night HBO schooled Disney and Lucasfilm about what a show called The Acolyte should look like. Mediocrity in the Star Wars franchise has left the throne for the king of space opera. Sci-fi up for grabs, and Dune is coming for the crown.
I couldn't
guess
tell if that was
He
sarcastic.
really
or not.
liked it.
I guess they really like Dune.
And he says it should teach Disney a lesson on how
Yeah,
like a show should look.
you know what? And you know what? You're not wrong. That first episode of Dune is kind of what The Acolyte should have been. A little bit. Now, look, when it comes to The Acolyte, I didn't mind the approach of it kind of being a murder mystery. But they didn't do that. I mean, oh, God, I'm not going to go off into a whole nother rant about how awful The Acolyte is. Anyway, yeah, I loved Dune. I loved it. The Dune Prophecy. I loved that first episode. But again, like I said earlier, unlike Penguin, where I'm like, anybody can watch Penguin. Comic book fan, non-comic book fan, somebody who saw Batman, didn't have to see Batman, anybody can watch it. I don't think that's true for Dune Prophecy. I think there's a lot of people that it won't work for, and that's fine. All I care about is that I loved it, and I cannot wait to see it next week. All right, what's next?
Disney Gifts by Bryce says, hey, John and crew, I went and saw Venom 3 last night at Regal Screen X, where it goes down the sidewalls. The movie was fine. The experience was better. Because of that, I found out about an early screening of Wicked I'm going to tonight. Super excited.
You know what? I have never done a Regal Screen X.
So it has like a wraparound effect?
Yeah, well, it's like multiple screens, like a big screen there, and then kind of going down the sides like this.
Okay.
So you kind of feel like you're wrapped in the movie. Like, I remember I saw some pictures of people doing a Top Gun Maverick screening in that, and it's like, that's pretty cool. I've never been to one of those, but I bet Wicked, which is like visually going to be gorgeous because they showed us a bunch of stuff at CinemaCon. I'm seeing it tomorrow night. I'm seeing Wicked tomorrow night. And I can't wait to see it, but I think that sounds like a really good experience.
King Daddy saying Substance would have been perfect for that. No, absolutely not.
All right, what's next?
We got Glamdring the Faux Hammer says, there is a YouTube series about a filmmaker reacting to the God of War cutscene movies and hearing them explain the technical elastics and what makes the story so cinematic has me ludicrously excited for the Amazon series. Man, hope they crush it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't remember. I know I've done several reviews of cutscene movies.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I did one for God of War or not. But like, I might have. I can't remember. But the God of War one, I think the cutscene movie of it I watched was like 7 hours long. But it was really great. And like I said, I think people have very low standards when they throw out, this game has like a movie story. I think 95% of the time they don't. But there are a few that do. Last of Us.
Ghost of Tsushima absolutely does.
Ghost of Tsushima, Red Dead Redemption, God of War. And I cannot wait to see what Amazon does with it. After seeing what they did with Fallout, I can't wait to see what they do with God of War, man. I think it's going to be awesome. All right, what's next?
Glamdring follows up, says if they use a similar budget as other Amazon shows, just imagine watching the fight with Kratos and the dragon. The dragon may even give Smaug a run for his money. My body is ready.
What dragon? Are you talking about the big earth snake thing?
Probably.
Yeah.
I remember a
regardless. It's not even about budget. It's just about approach. And now that they've got Ronald D. Moore, the greatest showrunner in the business today, and I don't mean that as hyperbole. They literally got the greatest showrunner working in the business today. They went out and got him, and he's going to run God of War. Man, I cannot wait.
Oh, there are dragons in.
Is there? It's been a while since I've seen the first one. I still think of the second one. Anyway,
dragons,
all right, what's next?
Okay, Wesley Cunningham says, even the question of how much a money draw The Rock really is aside, how could MGM justify Red One? Pretty light looking Christmas adventure, but they spent like they were making Avengers. Just doesn't make sense to approve the budget and marketing on paper.
No. Now listen, there is a little bit of hindsight is 2020, right? There's a little bit of that. Because like, I'm sorry, but did anybody think? I didn't. Did anybody think Barbie was going to be $1 billion film? No. But guess what? Maybe somebody at the studio did, and they made that movie and made like what? It ended up making like what, 1.5?
1.3 maybe? I gotta look that up.
It was more than 1.3 because I think it was more than 1.3.
Yeah, you're right. 1.447.
1.447. Okay, so close to 1.5.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Maybe they thought they were going to have that. I don't know how. But you think we got The Rock, we got Chris Evans, we got J.K. Simmons. I mean, I don't know, but spending $250 million on that? I don't know what the logic behind that was. I mean, because seriously, if they had asked me, hey, here's our concept for a movie, blah, 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 and we're thinking our budget is 250. Do you think that's good? I would have said, no. I mean, make that movie, yes, but make it for like 120 or something. Anyway, it does sound ridiculous.
It's clearly like Amazon MGM, even though MGM has been around for a long time, I think they're still getting their feet on the ground, as in terms of releasing or what's on streaming or whatever, because they joined together, right? MGM and Amazon.
MGM has been around forever, but this new iteration of MGM being owned by Amazon and stuff like that, they might still be, but still, this was a big swing and a miss.
They'll learn.
Huge.
They'll learn.
Yeah.
A level 4 naughty lister?
All right. What's next?
Just Curious says, hey guys, have you seen the second act of Arcane? It's so good. Nearly cried a couple times. Have you got to that yet, John?
No, I was off in Vegas this week, and Ann was off in San Francisco. So both of us just got back on Sunday.
That's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have watched the first 3 episodes of season 2. We have not seen the second 3. I loved the first 3. Cannot wait to sit down and watch the second 3. Probably do that later tonight.
All right.
All right, what's next?
Mr. I with the two-parter says, just looked up the cast for How to Train Your Dragon. Nice to see Gerard Butler's reprising his role as Spock, but he's the only one. No shade at Nick Frost, but I would have loved to see Craig Ferguson back as Gobber.
That one could have worked.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you couldn't do that for the other roles. You couldn't, especially because the characters are younger, right? Like, so you can't do that.
Yeah.
I did love Gerard Butler as the voice of the dad. I thought that was a great character. So yeah, I'm really excited to see that he's going to be coming back too. But yeah, Ferguson come back. That's another one you could have done. But you know who I could see them getting for that role? Brendan Gleeson. I could totally see them getting Brendan Gleeson for that. And I think he would be perfect for it. All right, what's next?
Okay, he just follows up and says, I'd love to see Jay Baruchel and Christopher Mintz have a cameo in the
Christopher Mintz-Plasse and all that.
Yeah.
Yes, cameos. Jay Baruchel. Yes, absolutely. I think that would be very, very cool if they at least had a cameo in it. But he couldn't obviously come back and play the role. I mean, that just wouldn't work.
Right.
But cameos, absolutely. All right, what's next?
I Am Justice with a two-parter says, the problem with Star Wars today is that Lucasfilm still hasn't made a new Jedi Order. We keep going back to the past and kept being told how flawed the old Jedi are. When is the last time we saw Jedi being heroes on screen that wasn't an animated series? I remember the only time Jedi helping out regular people was in Phantom Menace when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon rescued the Queen's Guard and pilots. When is the last time the Jedi did natural heroics that didn't involve Skywalkers, or galactic conflicts?
Yeah, listen, I am an advocate that Star Wars needs to be about more than just Jedi, right? I'm completely an advocate of that. But I believe it needs to be more than just Jedi. You still need to have a lot of Jedi. And look, this just goes to the point, my big complaint about Star Wars, even when they've had stuff that I've enjoyed, is that Star Wars continues to get smaller and smaller and smaller. It's always just going back to events that we already know about and characters we already know. And it's like, expand the universe. And the best thing, like even Mandalorian, which I loved, season 1, a lot of it was just like, look, guys, remember the cantina? Look, guys, remember the Mos Eisley space station? Everything is about just revisiting things we already know. And so the idea of it would be a marvelous move. Jump ahead 150 years. Start with a new Jedi Order. Get going on that. I mean, it's time to do that, and I hope they do at some point. All right, what's next?
Mookie Cahoots with a $20 tip.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Do you think that Warner Brothers will greenlight a feature film of Creature Commandos of the animated show if the animated show is well received? Gunn has said that voice actors were chosen because they could also play the characters in live action. Looks very R-rated, though. They will appear.
Yeah, at least 1 or 2 of them will appear. I mean, Weasel's already there. We already got Weasel in the Suicide
Right.
Squad. I mean, listen, success often makes things happen, right? If Creature Commandos is some wild success, they might look at it. I don't know that it would do particularly well. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not all that excited about Creature Commandos. Like, I saw the trailer and everything, but it just kind of felt like the boys had a baby with Harley Quinn. And by Harley Quinn, I mean the Harley Quinn animated series. And so I'm not particularly excited about. I'm definitely going to watch it. It's James Gunn after all, so I will watch it and hopefully I'll love it. But yeah, if it's ludicrously successful, it be getting its own like live action feature film version is definitely a possibility. Again, right now I'll say I doubt it, but it's certainly on the table. All right, what's next?
Robo producer says, John, I thoroughly enjoyed Joker 2. It wasn't the first film, surely, but I like Fleck choosing himself over what society wanted him to. The Joker, he might not have been the Joker, but honestly, Fleck is perhaps my favorite. Guilty pleasure, but I liked it.
I'm glad that you did. And I'm jealous that you did, because I certainly did not. I just thought it was like dreadfully boring scene after scene, a movie that didn't do anything, say anything, or go anywhere. Again, but that's art. Art hits us all in different ways. And unfortunately, that's how it hit me. It was a dreadful, painful to get through, awful, boring exercise of a movie. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to feel that way. And if you enjoyed it, that's great. I'm sure I enjoyed some movies you probably found dreadful. So I'm glad you like it. There's always something there for people. It just really, truly didn't work for me at all. All right, what's next?
Eddie Burton says, I love the RDJ Sherlock Holmes movies and got excited hearing Jude Law say RDJ is committed to making a third, along with a new script written. However, Game of Shadows came out 10 years ago. Legacy sequels are one thing, but is it too little, too late for a third?
I actually, normally I do feel that way. I don't feel that way about a potential Sherlock Holmes. Because I also really quite liked the Jude Law, Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies. The first one more than the second one, but still. And if they can find a way to get Jared Harris to come back as Moriarty, I mean, I'd be especially down for that. So listen, I have just been waiting for them to announce that they're going to be doing. We've been talking about it for years. I do think it'll happen. And this is one of those franchises that I think, because it's not like those Sherlock Holmes movies were billion-dollar films, so they had to capture the momentum. I even think if it wasn't for those Sherlock Holmes movies, even if those first two didn't exist, you just announced today, Jude Law, Robert Downey Jr. coming to do a Sherlock Holmes movie, I think it has some potential for success. So here's hoping. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got 5 more here. I recently rewatched the movie The Place Beyond the Pines, starring Ryan Gosling, where Ben Mendelsohn played a supporting role. He was simply fantastic. What a great actor. Can't wait to see what he brings in Andor Season 2.
Where he really shined, and I think where he got on most people's radars, was for that series he did. It's called Bloodline.
On
I
Netflix.
think, on Netflix.
Yeah.
With our new Green Lantern. Why am I freezing on the name of the actor who just got announced to be playing the Green Lantern?
Yeah.
The guy from Friday Night Lights. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's where he really, I think, got on people's radars, was that one. He was fantastic. And again, he's just good in everything I've seen him do. He's great. Kyle Chandler was his name. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says, I bet they are moving Star Wars back 6 months to the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. It would be so poetic to see Episode 10 released on May 2027 on the 50th. At least that's what I would do if I were in charge.
But how does it benefit? Here's the question. What does that benefit you?
Yeah.
Like, really? You shift and move schedules and entire organizations, blah, 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 so you could say we released it on the anniversary?
They'll just have a big anniversary event anyway.
And they could have something else come out on the anniversary.
Yeah.
Right? So
A Christmas
do
special.
I believe they literally moved the project just so they could put it on the 50th anniversary? No chance in fuck. No chance in fuck that they did that. Because you know what? They always knew when the 50th anniversary was. So if that was if that was important to them,
You know,
why wouldn't they have just planned it there in the first place?
With this leadership, they may have forgotten.
Wait a minute, that's when the 50th anniversary is? You know what? I wouldn't put it by them at that point. All right, what's next?
Anthony R says, call me crazy, John, but I think Lucasfilm really wrote themselves into a corner by killing off Luke before giving him a second chance to rebuild the Jedi. I think he should have had the chance to establish the Jedi and then have moved on to Rey.
Maybe. I mean, listen, there are things like, okay, with the 3 sequel movies, I love The Force Awakens. When you get into The Last Jedi, there are things I loved about it and things I hated about it. And then The Rise of Skywalker was absolute gutter trash. One of the things that I did like about The Last Jedi was how Luke died. Luke died being the most Jedi ever. Like, really, when you look at what he did at the end of that movie, that was the most pure Jedi thing to do. He literally fought without fighting, and he sacrificed himself in doing so for the benefit of others. It truly, like, nothing else in any Star Wars movie has epitomized philosophically what the Jedi should be. And it was, I think that was damn near perfect the way they did it. So I really like that for him. But on the flip side of that, the idea of Luke being the one to reestablish the Jedi Order does feel more poetic to me. And it would have been better that way. But that's fine. If you do it well, it can work. I have my doubts at that right now. All right, what's next?
Okay, performing artist says, hello crew, hot take. Phase 4 is a win. I wish Kevin Feige had set expectations properly. Phase 1 had to succeed with B characters. Phase 4 is a Phase 1 redo with CD characters. Now to tie it together into a coherent, satisfying overall story, good Russos. It's a bit of a retelling of history there, though.
But here's the problem. the Phase 1 movies didn't work because they did X kind of characters. They work because they made good movies.
Mm-hmm. For the most part.
Phase 4 isn't struggling just because they've used some D or C level characters. I mean, again, if you watched our show regularly, I talked about that. They just tried to flood too many new characters in. That's a philosophical problem. But the weaknesses of Phase 4 have not been, because they did new characters. That's caused different problems. But it's just because too many of the projects they made have just not been good. That's it. It's not because, it's because you had that character. No, it's because they made a not good TV show. It's because they didn't use this character. No, it's because they just didn't make a very good movie. Like, that's been the weakness. The weakness has been their quality level has dropped. Some things have been great. Absolutely, 100%, some things have been wonderful. But a lot of their projects have also not been so great. And that fundamentally is the issue. And then it doesn't matter if you use this character, that character, this set of characters, this team, that team. It doesn't matter. If you're not going to make a fundamentally good movie or TV show, it doesn't matter which characters you throw in there. Again, we've had 3 Fantastic Four movies, all with Dr. Doom. None of them have been good. Why? Because they made bad movies, even though they had the right characters in it. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Garrett says, how's it going from the other day when the movie The Warriors was mentioned? Lin-Manuel Miranda and Issa Davis just released a new concept album inspired by the movie. It's a musical style album without a proper Broadway production yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Of the Warriors?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. Now I'm going to have to go and look that up and listen to that.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty funny that somebody just asked about the movie the other day. Okay, and I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. So yeah, I'm going to go check that out. Thanks for the update on that.
Okay,
all right, what's next?
Got some messages from our members here. King Daddy Goat says, hey crew, hope all your weekend was great. Did you guys check out the new part of Cobra Kai? Well, John did not.
No, absolutely.
Did Ann, I'm wondering. I know John isn't a huge fan, but this last part was really good in my opinion. If you did see it, what are your thoughts?
No, I wouldn't waste my time.
Oh.
Look, I love that there are so many people that enjoy Cobra Kai. I love that. My wife loves it. That's great. I think it's stupid, but hey, that's just me. I don't enjoy Cobra Kai, so I don't hate watch it or anything like that. And listen, I don't try to encourage other people not to watch it. I love that there are people watching and enjoying it. It's just clearly not for me. So no, I didn't waste my time on it.
I'm like 2 seasons behind. I got to catch up. Joel says some most anticipated films for next year for him are Superman, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, First Steps, Brave New World, Wake Up, Dead Man. Mission Impossible 8, Elio, F1. Oh, always forget about F1.
That's the
Avatar,
Brad Pitt movie.
Right.
Avatar 3, How to Train Your Dragon, and In the Gray. Guy Ritchie's next with Cavill, Gyllenhaal, Rosamund Pike, and Isaac Gonzalez.
They showed us a
In
big
the Gray,
preview
that's
for that at
interesting.
CinemaCon.
Okay.
And it actually looks pretty fun. I wouldn't say it's one of my most anticipated movies of the year, but it does look pretty fun.
I like League of Ungentlemanly Warfare, so, hopefully this is along those lines.
I just like Guy Ritchie.
Uh-huh.
I like his movies very much. So that one is up there for me. So yeah, that's a good list, man. That's a really good one. All right, what's next?
We got Joe, who says, "Hey, John and crew, I'm seeing Wicked tonight. Amazon Prime has an early screening tonight if you are a Prime membership."
Yeah, those all got sold out really
Oh,
quick.
I see what. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, I'm also seeing an early screening tomorrow. So Ann and I are really looking forward to that. Can't wait to
Ooh.
see it.
Nice.
All right, what's next?
Espinoza says, "All these Star Wars projects that keep getting delayed or canceled is driving everyone nuts. Why does this keep happening? It's the Bladian paradigm. I've explained this. It's the problem. Kathleen Kennedy, we need answers and we need them now."
Yes. The problem is Kathleen Kennedy. She is the head of the organization. She has we've been over this 1,000 times. She has consistently failed to properly vet the people she's working with, to make sure that the creators they bring on are creatively aligned with her vision and the vision of the leadership team. And then things just keep happening and falling apart, happening and falling apart, happening and falling apart over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. You have to be completely blind to not recognize the pattern. The problem is Kathleen Kennedy. Her two fundamental failures have been, as we just talked about, her inability to bring on people and announce projects that she already knows creatively aligns. And then number two, she has had an abject failure of planning out what they're doing before trying to jump. That nowhere is that more clearly seen than in the sequel trilogy, where they had no idea where they were going with that. They literally were just winging it. And that's all of that falls on the chair of the president of the company, and that's Kathleen Kennedy. All right, what's next?
We got a line of numbers 2907714 says, "I saw Gladiator 2 last Friday and it was very entertaining." So I guess you could say you were entertained, but not best picture material, but love the visuals. The sound is really good. The sound, that's interesting. And Denzel's character stole the third act.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm getting really excited for it. I'm hearing such good things about it. And hearing, Denzel, even with all my doubts with it being a Ridley Scott film, the thing is, Denzel can do whatever he wants. And he chose to be in this. I'm like, all right. And now hearing all these great things about it, I'm kind of envious that you got to see it already. I'm looking forward to seeing it this week. And I'm getting excited, man. I'm getting excited. And all right, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come back to join us again tomorrow. Oh, and by the way, if you guys are sports fans, we have our podcast, Filthy Sports. New episode goes up later tonight. Keep your guys' eyes open for it. We got a lot of things to talk about, including that Jake Paul, Mike Tyson joke of a thing that happened. Anyway, I want to thank the guys in the room with me, Ray Ora.
See you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.